My name is Katie, and I want to tell you a little bit about my 12-week mentoring program for occupational therapists and occupational therapy assistants. So, about a year ago, decided to start mentoring other therapists because I felt like we do not have enough support in our current positions. So, whether you are a brand new OT, ideally, you should be having weekly mentorship sessions through your job, but many jobs aren't offering them now because, well, what's really important is seeing clients and bringing in that money, and having a mentorship session typically isn't bringing in that money. And so mentorship kind of goes on the back burner, unfortunately. If you are lucky to have it, it typically happens for about a year, and then you are off on your own, which in the moment, I know for me, after a year, I was like, I'm done. I'm good. I don't need these anymore. And then I moved on in jobs, and I'm like, I could have totally used more mentorship. I could have totally used someone who I could go to and ask questions and get feedback from. And in lots of positions, it's just not available. We have different schedules. We feel bad because everyone is so busy. Caseloads are so high right now because there's such a shortage of therapists that the time to ask those questions is kind of non-existent. And so I thought to creating this virtual program where we could have 12 weeks together and talk about all the things that I really wanted to know more about when I was first starting, and really throughout my first 5 years, depending on what your experience is. So this 12-week program looks at things like sensory processing, reflex integration. We look at feeding. We look at oral motor skills. We look at handwriting. Each week, we are going over a different topic. So I can tell you a little bit about the structure. So we use a website called Podia, and every week you will gain access to a new lesson and resources based off of what the topic is. Most videos are anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes, and you watch that before our session. So you typically have a week, if not a little bit longer, to watch that video. Look at the resources. There are podcasts, there are research articles, there are resources that I've made, and links to things that I found along the way that I have thought to be really helpful in my own practice. So there's that on-demand piece. And then once a week, we'll meet as a group to talk about the lesson. Groups have at max 10, possibly 11, depending on the, okay, I'll get to that question in a second. But max is typically about 10 therapists in each group because I want it to be small so you can feel like you are part of this community. You can ask questions. There's time to ask questions. And so the first half of our 75 minutes together is talking about our lesson topic. And then we open it up to group questions that can be about the topic, or it can be about anything you want. I really encourage the therapist to ask questions and to give feedback. While I might be leading the sessions, I am definitely not the only one with good advice and good ideas. We can all learn from each other, and we all have different knowledge, like different forms of knowledge that we're able to share with each other. And so I really try and create a safe experience for everyone, or foster a safe environment for everyone to feel like they can have that space to connect and share and give guidance. And with that, so any questions can be answered on there. We also have a private community board, which is basically a message board where you can ask questions throughout the week. So if something pops up and you're like, oh, I don't want to wait till Wednesday, go in, ask your question. I'll respond to it. Other therapists will respond to it. And it is a nice way to still feel connected and get more on the spot support. With the mentorship program, there are a bunch of things that you get. So you have access to me via email or Voxer or the message board to reach out if you have any questions. You can also, like I said, if you don't feel comfortable asking on the message board, you can send me a message and I'm happy to help support you through whatever that might be, documentation, a clinical question, anything. You also get 6, it's actually a little bit more, activity guides. I will show you what those are. Here's an example of one of the activity guides, and I'll show you the other ones as well. So monsters, my activity guides are themed because I like to organize my monthly activities by theme because I just think it helps me think about what activities I want to use and it just flows a little bit better. So these activity guides are intended to help you in your treatment. There's between 20 to 25 activities split between fine and visual motor, sensory exploration, sensory motor, and food play ideas. There are a mix of activities. So a lot of these I have created and some of them I have found and I will link to the place that I found them from. So you can either download them from that site or whatever that may be, but leading you to the original resource. So monsters, super, super fun. Like this is a follow the monster path from A to Z. I try to make activities for preschoolers, for elementary school. Some of these you can also use with their middle school. High school, I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of resources for, but depending on the level of your high schooler, you can definitely use these. So this is a like monster path. And so you have to go from A to Z by connecting the letters, and it has to be a touching letter. And so here is the pathway that you would go. You can print these out. You can use them with your kids on your caseload. They're fantastic. So this is the monster one. There's a little monster hair that you can make with spaghetti. We also have a space themed one, a dinosaurs themed one. We have a fall theme. We have an under the sea theme. And I am continuing to make more. I also want to show you with the program, you get access to all of my TPT resources. So I will show those to you in 2 seconds. Here is my Teacher Pay Teacher source, so we can show you what resources you are getting with the 12-week program. First up is my regulation guide. There's actually 2 of them, one specific for school and one specific for parents. This guide is great to help adults understand how regulation impacts what we're seeing and how to improve it. So we talk about how to identify early stages of dysregulation, what that means, and what tools you would want to use based off the signs that we're seeing, and then how to incorporate those tools into their routine. So the school-based one focuses on tools that I would recommend for the classroom or school environment, and the regulation for parents focuses on community-based, home-based tools. So in it, I do recommend specific tools and strategies to use. You're welcome to share any of these resources with your clients, that includes parents and teachers. Turning food into fun is a really fun one for picky eaters. If you are a feeding therapist or if you have some picky eaters, you can share it with parents, but it helps kids learn how to play with food and teach parents why it's so important. And we give play ideas. So there's 4 different play ideas for each food, and there's like 40 foods. There's 4 different play ideas in visuals, and then you get a link to a video that you can watch with the child. So it's super fun. It's super motivating. We turn grapes into eyeballs and peppers into dragon teeth and grapefruit into a bird's nest. Lots of different things. You have the co-regulation cheat sheet. We have alphabet smash, which is a really fun way to work on letters, but use it in a proprioceptive fashion. You smash Play-Doh on each of the letters. We have a regulation decision-making guide and strategy tracking sheet that goes along with the regulation guides. We have a few very colorful caterpillar, and all of these you will be easily able to download on Podia, which I will show you now. So this is Podia. This is the site where myself and the therapists that are joining us spend the next 12 weeks. You'll see right here, activity guides and resources. You can download all the files that we just talked about as soon as you join our group. Weekly topic lessons is where all of the meat of our 12 weeks is. So each of the lessons are broken down, like I said, into weekly topics. So the very first topic we go over is strength-based therapy. And so you will find that there is in here an introduction, just showing you a little bit about Podia. But for every week, we'll have a weekly topic lesson. And so this video, you'll watch this video prior to our session and take questions. You can even ask questions below, and I will answer them there or review during our meeting time. But you'll watch the weekly lesson plan. You have access to the slides that I'm using. So sometimes I include links in the slides, which you can access here, or you can download it in a Word doc with note lines available if you wanted to take notes. When you do that with the note lines, you're not going to get the links, but you can always download both of them. You'll also find a ton of resources. So for example, this neurodiversity affirming resource is one by PlaySpark. You enter your email and they will send it to you. It's an amazing resource to have. How to reframe negative language is one that I've created. You can download that and add it to your collection. I've included podcasts that I think are really helpful for each topic lesson. And I've also included research articles. So it's something that I've been trying to do over the last 6 months. Because thinking back when I first started, I did not have time to, unfortunately, research because I was spending the time learning my new job, learning my kids, learning how to treatment plan, learning how to do all the things that unfortunately research took the back burner. If somebody gave me a research article, I was happy to read it. And so really that's what I want to do here is give you the research articles so that you can make more informed decisions about the treatments that you're using, about most up-to-date knowledge. And so I have shared those as well. In this space, you'll see recordings. Every session is recorded and then uploaded on here. So if you can't make a session, but you really want to listen to what's happening, you're going to go watch that recording. I do also allow, because I usually run 2 groups each cycle. If you can't make it, let's say, so this round, we have Monday and Wednesday sessions. If you can't make it to your Monday session, you're welcome to come on Wednesday. You just need to let me know ahead of time. So if you can't make it, watch the recording or attend the other live session. We have evaluations. There are templates for evaluations. There's a goal bank, lots of resources, reflex integration, sensory processing. I won't go through all of this. But I just wanted to give you a sneak peek into some of the topics that we'll be covering over our 12 weeks. We also have this community board that I mentioned, and this is basically just like our private Facebook page. So I've tried to organize based off certain topics, and you can add your questions. I will also put ARC was just having a sale. So I'll also put things like that in here so that you have access to all of those things. Now for some questions. I always get the question of what experience do you have? What have you done? So I've been a therapist at the time of recording for almost 9 years. I have had experience in early intervention in an air sensory integration clinic. I have worked in the schools. I have worked with, over the last 3 years, 4 years, really tried to focus on expanding my feeding knowledge and have taken a lot of courses. If you go to my website, you can see exactly what courses I have taken. I am the only person who runs the Well Balanced OT. And so every session is led by me. Any interaction from me is really me. There's nobody else doing it. Another question I often get is, can we earn PDU credits? So yes, you can. You can earn up to 10 PDUs. We're considered a study group. And so you do have to fill out paperwork each week after our weekly topic lesson. And the paperwork is simple. You're writing your name and the date, and then what you've learned from the lesson. At the end of the 12 weeks, I will gather all the information together, provide it to you, and then you can use that when you are submitting for your NBCOT hours. With the program, you also get, during the 3 months, 50% off any one-on-ones that you want to schedule with me. So if you're attending the meetings, but you really want to spend extra time focused on a very specific topic, or you want very specific topic support with an evaluation or an IP that you have to go to, you get 50% off, which is $45. It is $45, typically $90. If you schedule any one-on-ones with me during those 3 months. Who typically signs up for this mentoring group? So most often it is, I should have said this in the very beginning, but it is strictly for pediatric therapists or therapists who want to be pediatric therapists. So you don't have to be in this space, but you have to want to be in this space. It most often, honestly, the practice range, often there are brand new therapists, but we've had therapists with 15 years experience, 20 years experience, who have joined and have gotten a lot of value from the program. It really depends on what you're looking for and what training you've had. So one of our therapists was strictly a school-based therapist, and she really wanted to learn a lot more about all the other topics that we discussed. She wanted to learn more from some of the younger therapists who were coming in and maybe had different ideas than her. And so it really depends on what your past has been like. But I will say most common between 1 and 5 years in practice. Early intervention, we usually have a few sprinkled in, lots of school-based therapists, lots of clinic-based therapists, sometimes some hospital therapists who are working in the outpatient department. More recently, we've had lots of people coming from adults into the pediatric space. So that has been a really fun change, because there's definitely a different learning curve in there. Another question I get often is, will I have access to the material afterwards? So after our 12 weeks, you will have lifetime access to all of the weekly lessons. You will not have access to the activity guides or the resources. You'll have to download those before, or I give you a week after our lesson or our session is over. You also have the opportunity at the end of 12 weeks to join what we're calling Well Balanced OT Pediatric Collaboration. I'll double check that. Collaborative. That's it. I just named it a few weeks ago, so I'm still getting used to saying it. Where we continue to meet 2 times a month. Right now it's on Thursdays at 7, but as more people join, I might expand it to a different day. But we meet 2 times a month, and it is less structured than our original 12-week program. So you can request that we talk about certain topics. I might have some questions or topics that I want to chat about, but really it is you getting your questions answered. You can have support about your caseload. I want it to be time really devoted to you guys and what you need the most support in. We've had conversations around PDA, trauma, feeding, research. We've had case studies. All of those things can happen. They're 75 minutes long. And so 2 times a month. It varies depending on the month and depending on what holiday is. What else is there? What happens if I miss a class? We know that you can watch the recording, or you can join the other session that week if you remember ahead of time. But I think that is it for questions. So this program runs 3 to 4 times a year. And I really advise you to sign up on the wait list for up-to-date emails and for information on when the next group will be opening. I try to send out emails about a month ahead of time, and those people on the email list get first dibs. They get to sign up ahead of time. And you also get some little bonus things that I only offer to the waitlist on my email list. The classes have sold out the last 2 sessions at the time of recording. And so I do advise you to get on that wait list so you know when it's happening, so you can sign up and get your ideal date and time. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I am happy to answer those questions and happy to connect with you. You can find more information on my Instagram and on my website. I will link both of those in the comments. Thanks so much. I look forward to working with all of you pediatric therapists and OTAs.